You've been told to post every day on social media. So you're posting photos and videos and reviews of your crews out there with customers, with your trucks, Valentine's Day, Christmas special, Veterans Day, all that kind of stuff. Yet the phone is not ringing. Today we're going to cover the 4-part system that 7-figure contractors are using. So if you're a plumber, roofer, carpenter, real estate agent, dentist, this is the model on how not to be wasting time making all these endless posts that don't turn reputation into revenue. I'm Dennis Yu. I'm the host of The Marketing Mechanic. Every Thursday at 11 Eastern, we drop a new episode and we cover the frameworks of marketing so that you, as a local service business, can take control of your marketing and see what's real and what isn't. So let's talk about this 4-stage content factory. The first thing is you produce. And you can produce through many sources. You're producing the YouTube videos, for example. Maybe you have a podcast. Maybe you're interviewed somewhere. You have things inside your field service management system. So you're collecting photos, you're collecting information about the jobs, about your team members. You have customers, they're producing content. So they're leaving reviews on Yelp and Google and Facebook and other places. You have other information just on your phone as you're out in the community because you're taking photos at your favorite restaurant. You and your wife are celebrating your 20th anniversary. There's a lot of real information, and we like to see that that is then able to be processed. And this is where people have constipation, because you've got a lot of stuff that might be on your phone, but it doesn't make it into your Facebook or YouTube or other sorts of channels. And people don't realize that it's as simple as looking at, for example, your Google Photos. So if you see my Google Photos, you can see that I was in Denver a couple days ago with my buddy Sam McLeod, co-founder of Local Service Spotlight. They're my boarding passes on Southwest. We're filming these episodes here, messing with the camera, asking ChatGPT to do stuff. So there's a lot of real experiences that are here. And what you'll see in your Google or Apple or whatever your favorite tool is, I can look for, say, Tommy Mello. And I can find all the pictures and videos of me and Tommy. And all of that is going to show up. Why is this not showing up the right way? Oh, because I'm in the wrong. Here we go. See, I got to make sure. I got 5 of these things that I'm paying money for. And I use them all. I use Google. I use iCloud, Google Photos. I pay for iCloud. I pay for Amazon. I pay for Verizon, and I pay for Dropbox. So you can see, there's like me and Tommy and Josh Parker, or I'm sorry, Josh from Parker and Sons, right? And so these are moments. You have these on your phone. Your crews have them on your phone. And these are moments of, like we're hanging out at A1 Garage as he's doing training. We're doing a tour of his facilities. I'm hanging out in his office and he's, saying silly, obscene things about me, right? When was this? 2020, right? Or we can go even further. So we did a Zoom call. Whatever. We're hanging out. We're lifting weights. My buddy Mark is there, right? You have all of these real experiences that are here that can then be processed or not processed, and then they can be posted in different places. So what most people will think is, so maybe you produce a podcast. Maybe you take a picture with someone at Service World in Las Vegas, right? And you take that and you just post it here onto your LinkedIn or your Facebook. Okay, but with some processing, and we might use Descript, for example. There's many tools. That's a Swiss Army knife. All of these tools are AI, so don't ask, is it AI? They're all AI. With something like a Descript, we can then have that go to Facebook, to YouTube, to FB, come on now, to the website of the company, Then you have the personal brand website, to all these other places, to your Google business profile. So the very same piece of content can live in many ways. And let's say that you're doing something with David Carroll or Tommy or any of these other people. It could be people in your industry, it could be people in your city, it could be things that show that you have authority, right? Because the content that performs is authority content, not just stuff that ChatGPT just generated, right? The 10 ways to keep your lawn clean and green. Like, no, it needs to have real experiences, real. So if you have your field service management, you have, Jobber or Service Titan, that then can be processed through, you could even use ChatGPT. It can start to do all these things too. And then it can live in many different places. So your ability to make great posts that actually help customers in your city buy from you is based on ultimately the strength of the raw ingredients here. So if you are Andre of Ardmore Windows and Doors in Philadelphia, and you've got content showing how you install European windows and doors and how you collaborate with other general contractors, or how you serve homes that are in, what was the name? Haverford, Pennsylvania. I was there 2 weeks ago, right? Then where is the proof of you installing new European windows at this mansion in Haverford, Pennsylvania? If that real proof is there, it can be processed. I guess you could also include VAs here. I consider ChatGPT agents. There's agent mode in ChatGPT. That's replacing the VAs. The VAs are cooked. But for now, we'll just say VA. Or let's just say even it's your agency. You hire a video production agency. You hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork, whatever it is. Like somebody or some tool is taking the raw ingredients. So if we use the chef analogy, there's the meat and seasoning and vegetables, whatever you like to eat. Just insert whatever in your mind is you like to eat. That can be processed by a chef, to then trained or not trained, or a robot chef, and then be posted on these different channels. And then from there, that can be promoted. And this is where ads come from. So the reason why ads don't convert is not because they suck at using, Google ads or Meta ads, or people talk about all these, people are really into like Twitter ads right now, or whatever it is. It's not the user of the ad platform, it's the quality of these raw ingredients, so that when someone is looking for HVAC replacement, Columbus, Ohio, they think of Rob of Fast Response, right? Because he's a big HVAC company. He's got a lot of proof in these different systems. That information can be turned into YouTube videos that can be boosted, into Facebook posts that can be boosted, can be put on your Google business profile organically, which then drives LSA. You could kind of say LSA is like a subcategory of Google Ads, right? So your success in advertising is not based on hiring someone who's really good at ads. And you may have seen some of the things that Google and Facebook and these other guys have come out with in the last few weeks, where they said, look, we're taking away your ability to do all this fancy targeting and campaign structure stuff. And we're just like local service ads, we're just going to take your existing reputation, these items that are here, and auto-generate ads. So you don't have to worry about ad set level budgeting, or performance max, or max CPC bidding, or all these techniques that we've used for 25 plus years. You don't have to worry about that. So these people that specialize in advertising, I've spent $1 billion on Google and Facebook ads. I'm telling you, I do not want to say that I'm a Facebook or Google ads expert, even though technically there's only like a few people that have done more than me on the planet. I don't want to do that, because the source is your reputation. So when you understand this content factory process, several things are true. One is, you don't need the ads expert anymore. There's no such thing as the ads expert. They can come in and tune the ads and structure the ads, and yes, someone can come in and do this as a one-off, as a consultant, but the systems, because they're the ones who are making the money. Google and Meta and these other folks, I mean, you could run, Yelp ads or whatnot. They work in certain categories. The networks have a vested interest to use AI to make this process seamless. They don't like all these agencies and other people in the middle who screw things up, who charge a lot of money, create inefficiency, who then blame Google. Oh, the cost per click is up because, well, yeah, it is, because A, the competition, but B, also the quality scores are low because the ads aren't, the quality of the ingredients aren't good and the ads aren't structured properly. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Google and Facebook, I want to make this thing idiot-proof. I want to move from manual transmission to automatic transmission. So A, you don't need these guys. And then B, these social media people where you're, oh, what I got to post on social. I have to be on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok because that's where all the younger consumers are, and I have to reach the millennials and all that. No, because this idea of I need to post every single day is just a waste of time and money and resources. I see this usually happening for 3 to 6 months, where a business will pay. I can name a few of them. I guess you could Google some of the case studies and see some of the folks that I see that have done this. They'll pay someone for a few months and like, yep, we're going to post every day on Twitter, every day on Instagram. We're going to take your videos, your long form videos, whatever, and turn them into reels and Facebook stories and tweets, or just as bad, like every month we'll get together and we'll just ask you a whole bunch of questions in 1 hour. And that 1 hour, we're going to take that 1 hour video where we do all the work. You just have to show up for a Zoom call. And then we're going to chop that up and turn it into lots of different, whatever you want to call it, into these different pieces. Well, that doesn't work. Why? I mean, it seems to make sense. Like, yeah, well, in 1 hour, you could ask me all these questions in just a single 1 hour session. I could then, cut it up and put it on all these other channels and rank because we're experts. And, well, yeah, but that's just you talking. And who is it that your customers trust more? What you have to say about your roofing and siding and gutters and HVAC business, or what customers have to say, what their friends have to say, what other people in the neighborhood have to say, what your crews have to say, right? That's where all this other stuff is way more important, right? I mean, I guess if you're Tommy Mello and your face is on all the vans going around everywhere, all right, that carries some weight. Just like if you're Gordon Ramsay, then you want to hear from Gordon Ramsay and you'll try his burger and pay triple the price because it's got his name on it. Fine. But short of that, I think you'd even still agree that the proof of what customers have to say, the stuff that is locked inside, already inside your phone, field service management system, your employees, they're all representatives of you every time they drive the van around. I mean, Dan Antonelli can have the branding. That's awesome, right? Those assets are worth way more than whatever you might say in this wonderful video studio with 2 4K cameras. Okay, I'm using a fancy camera here, so I'm guilty. But I've shot some of these on my phone. I bet you can't even tell, right? This time I'm using a fancy camera. Can you tell? But that doesn't matter. So you don't need the fancy social media expert. You don't need the videographer. You don't need the content engine or content specialist, whatever. You don't need the AI person who's some kind of specialist person. You don't need the PPC person. You don't need any of these, because what's working is this, the raw proof of your operations. If that's the case, and you have your team, your young adult, maybe they get trained in our AI apprentice program, which is $2,500 for a year. It's a steal, especially compared to like a college tuition. Imagine that times 4 years, right? Your son or daughter, you probably trust them more. They have one client. They start their agency, one client, you, right? And they all get together with all the other young adults, and they get together and have camaraderie, and then they don't like it when Uncle Dennis comes in because it's like the police have come in. Stay out of our meeting. Okay, I'll get out of your Zoom meeting. But then you have someone you trust be able to run this content through and test it. And then when you find that a certain piece of content really pops off on Facebook, like Anthony of Anthony's Lawn Care made some of these videos with him and one of his kids, Andrew, I think, who's 10, holding up the sign saying, my daddy, come to Anthony's Lawn Care. Really cute, right? That works. You put more money against it and you start to assemble your greatest hits. So you find certain pieces of content do well, you put more power against it. So what's important is that you take something all the way through, because every time you go one step further, it's a 10 times multiplier, right? So some raw content that gets processed, to get posted here and tested across multiple channels. Sometimes content does better for some reason on Instagram versus YouTube. Sometimes these reviews or pictures or enhancing your service descriptions inside your Google Business Profile, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can move it to 24 hours and then have an AI answering service. I mean, all these things to optimize this, that then makes some of these ads, these promotional channels more powerful, right? Because it's building reputation. And so it's not about how many pieces of content you produce. It's not how many blog posts. There's this one guy who charged a lawyer friend of mine $70,000 a month. He just sold his agency, which let someone else hold the bag, right? Charged this lawyer friend of mine $70,000 a month, and he was generating 100 articles claiming it was SEO because he's an SEO expert. After all, he's the #1 law, legal, whatever agency. And we looked at his stuff and like, dude, you're just doing dictionary uploading. You're just writing 100 posts on how do you become a truck driver? How do I get my license? Like, it's not going to drive truck. You know, were you hit by a truck and, you know, $1 million, semi loss of life? You know, it's not going to generate those cases. It's just people, it's dictionaries, like ranking on dictionary, non-commercial terms, informational terms. Like what is a 48-foot refrigerated truck or however many feet the thing is, right? It's not how many pieces of content. It's revenue. Revenue ties to the CRM, right? To your QuickBooks. If you can look at the revenue, trace it back to what content was performing, that traces back to the different things that you're going to need here. There's always going to be some component of all the information here. A certain, you know, homeowner, you interviewed her, captured a quick little story, and for some reason that no one could have ever predicted, of the many stories, this is the one that did the best when it was boosted on Instagram, or did the best as a post in Google Business Profile that then drove more traffic, right? Or you boosted on Twitter, targeting other people that live in Bloomington, Indiana, right? And you said, this is what Susie of Bloomington, what happened to her, right? She's a disabled mom and blah, blah, blah. There's a whole story and, you know, who knows, right? But there's different stories cut up in different ways that'll work. And when you find these winners, you put more of the money into here. So each of these is able to work independently because the power is how much you can multiply all the way through. And if you have a piece of content and it just gets posted organically to YouTube and no one ever sees it, what's the point, right? If it becomes a winner, and 1 in 10 usually becomes a winner, then it can live over here. And then this is what we have as what we call our greatest hits, our 3x3. It's a tic-tac-toe. Because we have our top 3 pieces of content at the top of the funnel. What is the top of the funnel? Values, who you are, why I started this business, why I go to church, why Jesus is the king, you know, 4, 5, and 6, middle of the funnel. This is how we do our work. This is why we have a guarantee. This is how we train our people. This is how we do a quote. People want to know the price, right? What's the cost of a 2.5-ton unit that's, you know, right? And you configure it. There's information, right, that most people don't answer the price question, so people come to the site and then they leave. And you paid all this money to get people to the site. What a waste. You can retarget them still. 7, 8, and 9 is, hey, you know, 20% off if you do the you know, fall special, whatever it might be. Oh, 10% veterans spend. It doesn't have to be a discount, but it could be, hey, we have you know, we have a partnership with another company, right? If you support the Little League team, then we will donate a free lawn. I don't know, whatever it might be. There's things, you know, call me now. I'll send the team out to look at your windows, whatever it might be, right? Hey, looking for a replacement roof? Well, if it's more than 10 years old and you live in a qualifying zip code, then, you know, you could qualify, you know, call now. All these things, these are ads, right? 7, 8, 9 in conversion. So when you have these different stages of the funnel and you're pulling content here to be able to fit in different stages of the funnel and pushing it through different channels, finding out which of these are winners here, then you're not judging your content factory performance by how many pieces of content there are, or by the quality of the camera, or by how many hours were being billed, which is the most insidious thing. I saw, it was for one of my friends in Wisconsin. They're the largest exterior company in, you know, roofing, siding, whatever, in Wisconsin. And I saw the bill from the SEO agency, and it was just a block of hours every month. Like, and then you couldn't even tell what they were doing for their hours. So don't buy hours, don't buy posts, don't buy software based on like how many features the software has or how cool the social network is or how many AI things it has. Base it on this. Base it on things that trace back to revenue. Base it on, like, trace revenue back to the leads, leads back to the traffic, and now you have an ongoing content factory, because once you get to the point where you have a set of greatest hits and it's running on ads, you don't need to produce very much content. Initially, you might have to produce content to be able to run it all the way through and find some that are winners to populate this bucket. But the idea of what we see with most companies is they have their November calendar. Here's what we're producing. Here's our December, Christmas and whatever. Here's our January and, New Year's resolutions, and February, Valentine's Day specials. Like, people that move in a calendar progression with a content calendar instead of a revenue focus to reuse, like, you can reuse those Halloween posts from last year. I mean, Halloween's Halloween if you even want to do that, right? But stories are evergreen. Your content, it's not how many pieces of content you produce, it's can I find winners? And then I put 90% of my time on existing winners, trying to do better, trying to adjust, put it in another channel, tuning the ad targeting, making other content that's similar. And when you have this, it's a content factory and you're optimizing each of these components to be able to remove the constipation that you might have to bring the best content, testing it all the way forward into revenue. Because if you're measuring by SEO metrics, like this personal injury attorney that was paying $70,000 a month to this guy, or these people that are paying for social media or whatever, it's not tying to this. So you need to take control of your marketing, even though, well, I'm just a plumber. Watch the video of Roger Wakefield and I where he talks about, oh, I'm just a plumber. Well, yeah, but you also understand this has to turn into this. And if you don't see it all the way through to here, you're just wasting time. So that's episode 10 of The Marketing Mechanic. I'd love to hear, what do you guys think? We've been producing 10 of these already. It seems like the most popular one is on personal branding, on how do you own your own name on Google. I think the second most popular one is on how do you build a content strategy. This is related to this, because this is answering the question of how do I know how my social media is working, or why is posting every day on social media not really a good idea, or how do I find profitable content without just selling? How do I distinguish from all the other guys that are just using AI to generate all kinds of content? How do I stand out and be real when there's so much AI generated content? It starts from the real reputation that's here. And then tools, all these AI agents. We have episode, was it 8, where we talked about how you can use ChatGPT agent to process your stuff. The agents are replacing the VAs. The agents are replacing each of these people. You guys know that, right? Anything that can be done through a computer where someone in the Philippines or someone in your city is logging in and doing something, that could be done by an agent who, of course, has to be supervised. You might call her Jennifer, call her whatever name you want, human or not. But when you understand this, and there's different softwares that can sit in each of these buckets, then this is really what matters. This is, in 5 years from now, I mean, maybe the Optimus robots are on the roof or in the toilet. I don't think so. But this is all going away. I would never try to be a Facebook ads expert or a social media expert or an AI expert, because I know that this is where it is. And if you believe your reputation is the most important thing, it's the unique thing, it can't be faked, then you might want to consider what we're doing at Local Service Spotlight. We are taking local service businesses that have a great reputation, we're collecting all these pieces, and we're using agentic AI, basically ChatGPT and other sorts of tools, to be able to process that, post it, and promote it along the way. Now, these tools are all getting better. You can still use your agency. You can ideally bring your young adult to be able to manage your content factory. But the idea of having a content factory is to take raw ingredients and process all the way through to find these winners, and now you're in control. Now it's not just like, well, I'm a plumber, I don't really know, right? Now you know. Now you can see it. You understand your P&L? These are your assets in your bank account. Some of them produce and some of them don't, or think of them as like stocks in your portfolio, however you want to look at it. So let me know, what do you think? If you like this stuff, give me a like, give me a comment, subscribe. Love to see you in the next episode of The Marketing Mechanic.